Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Simply Explained English. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Eric. We're here to help you understand English words better in a simple and fun way.
That's right. We focus on keeping things very easy to understand. So, if you're learning English and think it's hard, stay with us. We promise to make it easier for you.
Absolutely. And don't forget, we love making learning fun. So, get ready for some interesting dialogues and chats.
Today, we will learn 5 words as usual.
The first word is to avoid. Then we will continue with purpose. Ordinary. To be upset. The final one is to get rid of.
Okay, we'll start with the word to avoid.
To avoid.
To avoid. It's an important word that can help you in many situations. What does it mean, Eric?
To avoid means to stay away from something or someone because it could cause trouble or harm.
Yes, like when you see a puddle of water on the ground, and you walk around it because you don't want to get your shoes wet. You avoid the puddle.
Exactly, Lisa. Or when you know eating too much candy is bad for your teeth, that's why you don't eat it. You're avoiding getting cavities.
Okay, let's have a look at our example dialogue.
Look, Tom. That big dog looks a bit scary. Let's cross the street.
Good idea, Sarah. It's better to avoid any trouble.
That was a simple example of how you can use to avoid in a sentence. Sarah and Tom decided to cross the street to avoid the big, scary dog.
That story about Sarah and Tom avoiding the dog was interesting. Lisa, have you ever avoided something like that?
Oh yeah. Once, there was a sidewalk covered with birds. I took a really long way to avoid them, but even though I changed my path, the birds still followed me. At first, I was very afraid, but then I stopped and I liked and patted the birds. It was a really nice experience for me. What about you, Eric? Do you have any story you have avoided?
Definitely. When I was a child, I avoided the kitchen late at night because I thought I would see a ghost. Can you imagine what I imagined? Seeing a ghost? Then, when I didn't see any ghosts and understood that ghosts don't exist, I stopped avoiding the kitchen at night.
Wow, I can imagine you were walking on tiptoes to avoid the ghost in the kitchen. It's funny.
Yes, it was very funny to walk like that.
And Eric, we don't use to avoid just bad things. Sometimes we also avoid to save time, or just to feel safer.
Right? For example, I avoided going on a long holiday last year because I didn't want to spend a lot of money.
Or I avoid sleeping for a long time to study enough for my exams.
Yes. By the way, Lisa, did you notice that we use ing form if we use a verb after to avoid?
Yes, Eric, like avoiding sleeping for a long time or avoiding going on a long holiday.
Please be careful when you use a verb after to avoid. Okay, let's move on to our next word. Purpose.
Purpose. It's a simple word, but very important. Purpose means the reason something is done or used or why someone does something.
That's right, Lisa. For example, the purpose of a knife is to cut things. It's used for that reason.
Exactly. And when we talk about people, we might ask, what's your purpose in learning English? It means, why are you learning English? What's your reason?
Yes, Lisa. Now let's move on to our example dialogue.
I bought this new book to help me with gardening.
Oh, that's great. What's the purpose of the book?
My purpose is to learn how to grow vegetables in my backyard.
That sounds like a useful purpose.
That dialogue shows Mark using the book for a specific purpose, to learn about gardening.
Yeah, it's a good example of how knowing the purpose of something can help us understand its importance. Lisa, have you ever bought something with a special purpose in mind?
I have. I bought a planner to organize my day better. Its purpose was to help me manage my time. How about you, Eric?
I bought a special lamp for reading at night. Its purpose was to help me read more easily.
It was a practical solution, Eric. And do you like reading at night?
Yes, I do, Lisa. As long as I find time, I try to read at night, in my bed before sleeping.
That's a very good habit, Eric.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, let's talk about our next word.
Next up, we have the word ordinary.
Ordinary.
Ordinary means normal or usual, nothing special or different.
Right, Eric. An ordinary day might be waking up, going to work or school, and then coming home. This is what happens most of the time, and it's nothing unusual.
Exactly. And when we say something is ordinary, we mean it's just like everything else, not special.
Let's listen to our example dialogue.
Are we doing anything special this weekend?
No. I think it's just going to be an ordinary weekend. Maybe watch some movies and relax.
That sounds good to me. Sometimes ordinary weekends are the best.
That dialogue really shows how ordinary is used to describe something typical, like a weekend.
Yes, and there's something beautiful about ordinary things. Eric, can you think of something ordinary that you really like?
For me, having an ordinary breakfast with coffee and toast. It's a simple way to start my day. How about you, Lisa?
I enjoy taking ordinary walks in the park. It is a simple pleasure that always makes me happy and energized.
It's amazing how ordinary things can be so meaningful. It tells us how important the simple things in life are sometimes.
Yes, Eric. Some people like to live a very ordinary life. They avoid living a complicated life. They can get enough of the ordinary things.
Exactly, Lisa. And for our listeners who are learning English, remember that it's okay to start with ordinary sentences. That's how we all start learning.
That's a good point, Eric. When learning English, it's best to start with ordinary and simple sentences and then build up to more complex ones. Now, let's talk about the phrase to be upset.
To be upset.
To be upset. When someone is upset, they are sad or angry because something unwanted has happened.
Yes, it's a feeling we all experience sometimes. For example, if you didn't get the job you wanted, you might feel upset.
Or, if you lose your favorite toy, you could be upset because it was special to you. Let's listen to our example dialogue.
Why are you upset, Mia?
I lost my phone at the park. It had all my pictures on it.
I'm sorry to hear that. Let's see if we can find it or a way to help.
That dialogue shows Mia feeling upset because she lost something important to her.
It's common to feel upset, and losing something valuable can really cause us to feel upset. Lisa, how do you usually handle it when you feel upset?
I try to talk about it with a friend. Sharing my feelings usually helps me feel better. What about you, Eric?
I'm similar. Doing something different, like going for a walk, can help me calm down and think more clearly.
Eric, are there any other ways you cope with your emotions besides walking or talking to a friend?
Definitely, Lisa. For example, listening to music or writing in a journal might be some options. Music can be really calming, and writing helps me understand why I'm upset. It's like having a conversation with myself. How about you?
Yes, I find that doing something creative like painting or crafting helps a lot. It changes my focus and helps me express my feelings in a different way. I also find that watching a funny movie or show helps me feel better.
Do you have any other methods?
Absolutely. And it's important for our listeners to know that there are many ways to handle feeling upset. Trying out different things can help you find what works best for you.
It is interesting how some activities that make our hands or our minds busy can help us manage our feelings of being sad. Yes, Lisa, let's move on to our last word. Our final word for today is get rid of.
Get rid of.
Get rid of. It means to remove something you don't want or need anymore.
That's right, Eric. For example, when you have old clothes that don't fit, You might get rid of them by donating them to someone who can use them.
Exactly. Or, if you have a headache, you take medicine to get rid of the pain.
Yes, Eric, let's look at our example dialogue.
This old desk has so much space in my room.
Why don't you get rid of it? You could sell it or give it away.
That's a good idea. I'll see if someone else can use it.
That example shows how Carla decides to get rid of something she no longer needs, making space for something new.
Yes, getting rid of some things can be really effective sometimes. Eric, have you ever had to get rid of something?
I have. I got rid of a bunch of old books I no longer read. I donated them to the library, and it felt good knowing someone else might enjoy them. How about you, Lisa?
I recently got rid of some old kitchen gadgets. It cleared up so much space. And I realized I didn't miss them at all.
It's interesting how getting rid of things we don't need can make us feel happier and more organized.
Definitely. Also, remember that getting rid of old habits that do not help you learn English can be very helpful.
Great point, Lisa. Getting rid of some bad things can open up some new opportunities.
Exactly. Well, listeners, we end today's episode of English Explained Simply. We hope you found our explanations and examples helpful, and that you're feeling a bit more comfortable with these English words.
Absolutely, Lisa. Remember, learning a new language is all about taking small steps and being kind to yourself. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's how we learn.
True words, Eric. We love hearing from you, so don't hesitate to share your thoughts, stories, or even words you'd like us to explain in future episodes.
Before we say goodbye, we want to thank you all for joining us. Keep practicing. And remember, we're here to help make English a little bit easier for you.
Yes, thank you for spending your time with us. We'll be back with more words to explore, more dialogues, and, of course, more chats. Until then, take care and keep learning. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.